Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn presented by Virginia Community Capital. I am Melody Short, Community Innovation Advisor, and I am excited to have you all join us today to learn more about Virginia Community Capital's Economic Equity Fund, which was created to provide low-cost financing and technical assistance for small business owners. Before we continue, just a few housekeeping rules. You should know that we are recording this webinar and we will send the link to all that registered next week so that you can have it as a point of reference. And then also, if you have any questions, and we encourage you to definitely have some questions, we ask that you please submit via the chat feature once we open up the Q&A. So don't submit the questions so early, but I would say once our featured speaker is done, we encourage you to submit your questions again via the chat feature located in the toolbar, not the Q&A box. We'll just scroll and pull the questions. Um, at Virginia Community Capital, we work alongside several incredible organizations in the entrepreneurial ecosystem to be of service to small business owners like yourself. One of the organizations in which we have the honor of working with is the Capital Region Small Business Development Center. And so before we dive into sharing details on the Economic Equity Fund, I'd like to introduce our first guest. Rodney Williams. He is the Executive Director of the Capital Region Small Business Development Center, so that he can give an overview of the resources that they offer, he and his team and to the small businesses through their work. Rodney.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Rodney, as Mel said. I'm the director of the Capital Region SBDC. And what we do is we provide one-on-one counseling for either pre-venture entrepreneurs who are looking to fund that, get that new idea started, and also existing business owners that are looking to expand and things like that. And we provide one-on-one counseling with a team of business counselors that will go through your idea with you. We help with business plan review, marketing strategy, you know, different things around just standard operating procedures, all the things that small business owners deal with on a daily. We try to provide access to resources through the region to help better that idea, better that business. And so, if you want to get connected to us, you can log onto our website and request counseling at www.capitalregionvasbdc.com, and I'll write that in the chat. But again, we've been around for about a year now and have been making strides in helping small business owners get through loan pipelines, start their new businesses. We've helped over 200 people create jobs and things like that. And so we just love helping small business owners. It's great to be linked up with VCC. It's great to be linked up to this economic equity fund too, as providing another alternative to technical assistance and be able to take the time to help small business owners get to where they need to be. So again, I'll write that link in the chat if you ever want to get connected with us. But we love to help small business owners. We love to get them through certain areas and stages of their business, and always are able to lend a hand. And we are a free resource, so you guys don't have to worry about do I have to pay for this or this or that. We're just here to help in any facet that you need, and if we can't help you, we'll make sure that you get to the right resource to get that help. But again, just wanted to pop in and say hi. A great presentation coming, but if you need us again, you'll link to our website will be coming in the chat, and you'll be able to connect with us and request counseling.
Thank you so much, Rodney. Again, the resources that the Capital Region Small Business Development Center offers, it's quite vital. I use their center even outside of VCC myself. It's like this pipeline, this funnel. We are getting businesses ramped up to launch or scale. They've been quite helpful for small business owners that have been looking to put together business plans, put together projections, and many other resources. And as Rodney stated, those resources are at no cost to you. So definitely take advantage and make contact. Thanks again, Rodney, for sharing the resources of the Capital Region Small Business Development Center. Next up, we have our featured speaker for this Lunch and Learn, Chandra Hurst, VP of Economic Equity Small Business Loan Officer. She will share the details of the Economic Equity Loan Fund, some high-level details on requirements for consideration, and from there we will open the floor because we imagine you will have tons of questions. And so the floor is yours, Chandra.
Well, good. Was it morning, afternoon? Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you guys for joining us today. Again, I am Chandra Hurst, Economic Equity Small Business Loan Officer at VCC. I started my career here in September of last year. but have over 30 years experience in the financial industry services with Wells Fargo and its predecessors. And I'm dating myself, but I mentioned Jefferson National Bank. So you guys know my experience. But just to get started, we can navigate to the next slide. Just to give you an idea of who VCC is. Um, you can see this diagram indicates that vibrant communities are in the center of everything that we do. Our vision is to be your first choice for innovative capital and collaborative leadership, promoting vibrant local communities and enhancing the quality of life. Our mission is to support housing and community development, ventures, increase jobs, and build sustainable communities by offering flexible financial products and advisory services. And speaking to that, if we move to the next slide, you can see the suite of products and services that we offer, from lending, advisory services to investing. And of course, I spend my time on the lower left of the screen in the lending arena. We look at real estate ventures, affordable housing, small business, and that's what we're going to speak about a lot today: healthy food access and clean energy. And as we move to the next slide, you can see the impact of BCC that we've made since inception in 2006. We've actually looked at about 1.8 billion in total impact, which equates to about a little over 7 million in loan originations, and that equates to about 950 total projects financed. And you can see the other items that we've participated in and the impact that we've had. But again, this conversation is about loans and lending, so of course we're going to gear that to that. So just wanted to provide you a high level of who VCC is and what we do. And now we're going to dive into more information, if we can go to the next screen, about the Economic Equity Loan Fund. So as Melody, I don't know, we call her Mel, as Melody mentioned earlier, the Economic Equity Fund was birthed in 2020 as a direct need for providing low-cost financing and technical assistance to BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and women-owned businesses. As we know, these businesses were disproportionately affected, but have always had challenges to access to credit. COVID just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and just really brought light to it. So we decided to establish the Economic Equity Fund to provide, again, low-cost financing to eligible borrowers and resources to technical assistance. And we saw that technical assistance was critical because a lot of small businesses really didn't have the wherewithal to even apply for a PPP loan. So having partners like Rodney and SBDC come to the table, it's been a great partner for us to provide those technical skills that borrowers need, one, to get ready for the borrowing process and to look for loans. So let's go to the next slide to look at eligibility for those loans, right? So loans that typically come our way as far as eligibility, we're looking at business acquisition loans, we're looking at business expansion, debt refinance, equipment financing, owner-occupied real estate. If you're converting or expanding your owner-occupied space, right? Leasehold improvements. So if you're not owning the property and you need to actually outfit the building to fit your needs, and working capital lines of credit. And we can go to the next slide and see the eligible borrowers. So we're looking at BIPOC, and we mentioned what that was: Black, Indigenous, people of color. And 50% ownership is considered a women-owned business. We want businesses located in the state of Virginia in operations for 18 months or longer. We will look at startups, and I'll speak to that in just a second. And loan sizes of $1 million or less. Our bottom is 50,000, but our maximum in this loan product is $1 million. However, we do have other opportunities if you're looking at more than $1 million, but it will not be under the Economic Equity Loan Fund. But just to give you context of how the Economic Equity Fund differentiates itself from a commercial bank or other financial institutions. Historically, you would need to have a 1.25 or 1.2 debt service coverage. And with debt service coverage, that's amount of debt versus your revenues. So for every dollar you spend, you would have to have $1.20 or $1.25. debt service coverage. With the Economic Equity Fund, again, to help get monies in the hands of BIPOC and women-owned businesses, we would go as low as a 0.9. That is significant because a lot of businesses, again, were disproportionately affected by COVID. So we saw this anomaly where revenues just plummeted. But so that's why we are saying you can have 0.9 debt service coverage to be considered for the Economic Equity Fund. Another area of differentiation for the Economic Equity Fund is credit score, right? We know that credit is important. So we will look at a 650 is out. We like to stay in the 650 range. However, if there are mitigating circumstances that it's below 650, and I can give you an example of one, if you had a medical judgment or collection and it's isolated based on all your other history on your credit report, we would consider that. Just had a situation the other day where a borrower co-signed for his daughter for a vehicle and didn't realize she wasn't making the payments as agreed. So those are isolated situations that we will look at. And also if there was a situation where due to COVID, you had a hiccup on your credit, we can certainly look at what you did prior to that versus the now and how you've recovered. I would say word to the wise, if you are in the process of financing or looking for financing and you had a paid medical judgment or paid lien on your credit report, work at getting those items removed because you want to make sure when you submit your packet, you have your credit scores is reflective of today. And that just goes back to the startups. We are looking at open this product up for startups. However, when we're looking at startups, again, as I said, we're going to be looking at you as the individual to make a lot of those credit decisions. So your credit is going to be very key. We're going to be looking at, what is your knowledge of the industry? For instance, if I mentioned that I've been in the financial industries for 30 years. If I decide to say I'm going to go on my own and open up Hurst Financial Services, well, if I go to a bank and say I'm going to do this and I have a detailed business plan, I can speak to my industry knowledge that will help me mitigate the startup. Because startups, we need to go back and see how they, we don't have a blueprint or a look back to see how they perform. So the process is going to probably be a little more stringent for startups, but that's where it's critical for you all to leverage the resources that SBDC has with regards to your projections, your business plan, and really, really being able to write a compelling story as to why you feel that you can make good on this loan. And also, just as far as even an expansion, we definitely want to make sure that in those particular incidents, when you have an existing business and you're looking to expand, you're still going to need projections and things of that nature, because we want to know how is your business going to leverage this loan that we're giving you to make sure that you're going to be able to make the payment. So those things are critical when we're looking at this. In addition to, like I said, debt service coverage leniencies, credit score leniencies, we also have what we call loan loss reserves available under the Economic Equity Fund. And I'll just share with you what that looks like. So historically, if we're going to lend you $100,000, we're going to look for you to inject probably $20,000 of your own capital into the deal. So in essence, you're looking at an $80,000 loan. Well, we know that most BIPOC women-owned businesses do not have that capital just laying around to inject in this loan. So we can use loan loss reserve to infuse into the loan. So you don't have to put 20% down. You may just put 10% down. And that in turn will give you access to that money at with lower capital injection as from you as the borrower. However, you will still make payment on the whole $80,000, but again, you didn't have to come out of pocket with the required amount that you would normally go, or the required amount that you would see in a traditional bank or financial institution. So those are some of the enhancements with the Economic Equity Fund. We are also a small business loan a preferred small business loan for SBA. So in some cases, when this economic equity is not a fit, we have SBA loan guarantees as well. So that's just high level, some of the nuances of the economic equity loan fund. But the next slide will tell you what we need to start looking at the process to consider a loan, and we can go to the next slide. So what your application packet needs to look like, right? So we're going to need 3 years business tax return, all schedules. And of course, if you hadn't been in business for 3 years, we need all your taxes up until your inception of the business. Word to the wise, I see this all the time. Make sure that you are working with a CPA or bookkeeper or whomever's preparing your taxes. Be mindful that we are looking at revenue, right? Cash to pay the bill loan. We're not looking at, okay, you have this building worth $1 million and you only want to borrow 200,000. Yes, the collateral helps the situation, but we want to make sure the business has cash flow to pay the loan. So often, CPAs or bookkeepers, whomever's preparing your taxes, want to mitigate and eliminate your tax consequences. And as a result of doing that, show no revenue for the business. So we definitely want to be mindful that your business is showing clear revenues. And of course, if you're a nonprofit, we're looking at your 990s. We want your most recent interim financials. So we're looking at your balance sheet, profit and loss, accounts receivables, and accounts payable. These are going to be critical, especially now when you're finished 2021, but of course you don't have your taxes prepared yet. So we're going to be looking at your year-end balance sheet, profit and loss, accounts receivable, and payables. These are the financial statements that I talked about early in the conversation where a lot of our small businesses just didn't have these documents available when they were looking for PPP loans, right? So this is where SBDC is going to be able to help you get you to consultants that will provide you with this information. This is critical because it gives us a point in time and lets us know how your business is performing. It gives us a snapshot into your assets and liabilities, your expenses. Are you turning your inventory over in a timely fashion to get paid? We're looking at your accounts receivables because we want to know you've rendered services. How soon are you getting paid? Is it taking you 90 days for them to pay you? Because if it's taking 90 days for them to pay you, how are you going to pay back the loan? So just giving you context as to why these documents are required when we're looking at a loan. For accounts payable, are you taking 90 days to pay your bills? Or are you taking advantage of discounts and paying it within 30 days? That helps us. Of course, your background, your business plan is in that background and the history of the business. Like I said, any accolades that you receive, if you were written up in magazines or you were voted the 2021 best business in Richmond, we want to know about all that. We want to know your background, your industry experience, like I shared before. It speaks to your character and lets us know, is this person knowledgeable about the business that they're in, and are the likelihood of them repaying us. Again, we talked about the 2-year projections. Again, a business plan. We talk about the personal financial statement. So the personal financial statement will give us an idea of, does this individual have assets and liabilities that will in the event of default, they can pay back the loan? Or that gives us a snapshot to know if, do they have the capital injection that they need to invest in the loan? That doesn't mean you might have an angel investor, and that's fine too, but that gives us a snapshot. It also tells us, is this person personally leveraged in their personal on their personal expenses, where they will be borrowing from the business to accommodate their personal expenses. So those are the things that we look at when we're looking at your personal financial statement. And of course, we're also going to look at you personally and your personal tax returns. So that's kind of a high level overview of the Economic Equity Fund, and then what documentation we need when we start looking at reviewing your loan package. The last slide is just my contact information, but I'm not going to put that up now. At this point, I just want to open it up for questions from you all So you can just let me know what's on your mind if you had any questions that I can care for while you have this time. So at this time, we'll open it up for questions.
And I'll say this, Chandra, just want to say thank you to you for providing us with such valuable information. And, I know that this has been quite helpful. As Chandra said, go ahead and submit your questions, but place them in the chat. And don't be shy because this is an opportunity to be able to get an answer immediately.
Somebody said they had.
So let me go ahead and I'll field them to you, Chandra.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the questions is, can you provide a range of interest rates that are typical for your loans? And so in this case, we'll be talking about the Economic Equity Loan Fund.
Right. So our floor is 3%, but on average, if we're looking at a fixed rate, say 4.5, but of course that could be a little more. And I say that because if we're going to give on the interest rate, we're not going to give on loan loss reserve, right? So we got to look at the individual. So I would say anywhere from 3 to 5%, depending on the loan. And then if it's variable, prime plus 2, right now prime is 3.5. So it'll vary based on the loan type and whether or not we're injecting loan loss reserve or looking at some other guarantees that we can get leaner on the rate.
Thank you so much, Chandra. Another question, one of our guests would like for you to expand a bit more on the loan loss reserve opportunity. Let's just say they are taking out a loan for 100,000 and they don't have that 20K to inject.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, with loan loss reserve, we can inject up to 20% in loan loss reserve. And that is if there's a shortfall of capital from the borrower or if there's a shortfall in collateral. So that's where loan loss reserve. It's not cash in your hand. It is money set aside in areas of default or something like that. If you were to default on the loan, that's where we will come in and have those guarantees. So they serve as a enhancement to the loan, not cash in your pocket. You are still responsible for making payments on the total loan that, the amount of the loan, like the example that I provided you was $100,000. Your capital injection requirement is 20. So the loan amount in essence is 80,000. If we're giving 10% loan loss reserve, which means that we're injecting 10,000 of your 20 into the deal, but you still are responsible for paying the loan back at the $80,000. I hope I didn't confuse you all, but it's an enhancement. It's not cash money.
Thank you, Chandra. Another question is, when is the deadline to apply for the Economic Equity Loan Fund?
Right now, there's no deadline, and it's an economic equity loan fund. It's not a grant. So we've gone out to market and worked on getting grants to be able to provide these enhancements to these BIPOC and women-owned businesses. So as long as we have the money available, the grant will be, is not a grant, the loan program will be available. And we are not just looking at the economic equity loan fund for this point in time. We're looking at utilizing this throughout. So we're constantly, our development team is constantly looking at what resources, what grants are out there that can in turn give us the money to lend out to you. So right now there's no deadline.
I would just also add, and as Chandra said, there's no deadline. However, if you do have an interest in seeing if you will be eligible for it, I encourage you to start that process with the inquiry sooner rather than later. And I say that because in some cases, some businesses are completely buttoned up. And so they have all the documents, everything that Chandra said, in terms of what will be required for consideration. And then on the other end, there are businesses that do not. And so as a result of that, we may have to send you over to Rodney and his team to work on projections or pull together whatever items that you need so that you're all the way buttoned up and you have enough information for consideration. So I'm hopeful that that is helpful as well. And that sometimes takes, depending on what you need to get buttoned all the way up, it can take almost a year. I mean, we've worked with businesses, it has taken 6 to 12 months. And now they're back, and now they're in the process of having their loan application reviewed.
Right. And of course, interest rates are going up. So if you are interested or thinking about it, I would say definitely look at the resources that you have with us, with Rodney, to even just start having the conversations. And if it's not a not now, what can you do to position yourself for later?
Exactly.
So definitely do, and having the business acumen with having, you know, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, that's only going to make you better as a business owner. So if you're currently not utilizing maybe QuickBooks software or any software that's generating that, I would strongly recommend you do that because you want to know how profitable you are. You want to know, because so often I've heard, hey, I'll send you my bank statements. You can see money coming in. Well, that's not a true indication of revenue or your position as far as cash is concerned, because it doesn't tell us your expenses. It doesn't care for depreciation and interest add back. So please, if you're nothing else, if you're not ready to borrow, definitely just get in the habit of being able to generate those documents so you can know your business and how profitable you are. So I definitely would recommend doing that.
Thank you, Chandra. The next question is, if your business closed at the end of 2020, should one apply as a startup if reopening this year?
Is it the same line of business? I guess if you close your business and you're opening a similar end, what is she saying? Totally new? Is that new business?
Let's see. So yes, Dominion CrossFit. Are you saying it's this yes meaning it's the same business and you're reopening?
Well, if it's the same, okay. So if you're changing the name, getting a new EIN and all that, and it's a whole new business, it would be considered a startup for that entity. However, if it's the same line of business, it's the same services that you're rendering, we will take into account that you've been in this industry for a while. And then we can look at that industry experience to make that credit decision. I hope that helps. Thank you. Okay, good.
Thank you, Chandra. Next question. If we've already submitted the initial loan inquiry on your website, how soon will we hear back on starting the application process? Um, so, I mean, I can answer that. I mean, it depends, did you submit it just today? If you submitted today, you would hear back before the week is out. Since you're part of the session, if it's helpful to you, I believe we've added Chandra's information in the chat. That way you have a direct contact. But the goal is we want to get the loan fund out. It's created to support small businesses. So the more businesses we can help, the more we will. So it just takes a few days to hear from someone to schedule your first call, which is the opportunity for us to learn more about your business, run through some of the eligibility requirements just to get a sense of where you are, and then which will guide us on as to where to move you next, whether it be some additional technical support to get you buttoned up, or going ahead to get you going through the process with Chandra. All right. I hope that is helpful, Aaron. The next question, Chandra, is does nonprofit adult daycare centers qualify for this loan?
Yes.
Thank you. The next question is, are personal guarantees always required? In a
Absolutely.
case where you are set up as a corporation with a BIPOC majority owner.
All, guarantees are always required. We look at anyone that has over 20% interest in that business. We are going to be they're going to be required to guarantee the loan, and they're going to be required to submit personal financial statements and their personal tax returns. And that's for any borrower that actually has other business entities. If you own ABC Cleaners, but you also are owner in EFG restaurant, and if you have 20% interest in there, we're going to need to look at financials for everything that you're involved in where you have 20% or more of interest in.
Thank you, Chandra. The next question is, how would we go about setting an appointment to discuss options? And so we'll drop Chandra's contact information in the chat again.
And email is more preferred.
Yes, please email her. Yes, that would be great. The next question, Should we refer clients to Rodney's group in anticipation of their applying to position themselves or later? I would say start with us first. We want to be able to have a preliminary conversation. Rodney has a small but mighty team, and so we want to be able to ensure that we are directing you to the best resource based on our assessment of your business during that initial call. Okay. Any other questions? And again, yeah, I was going to say, and again, Chandra's email address is in, has been provided in the chat. And so while we wait for other questions to, oh, here's another question. Do all loans require capital injection? They may not have heard your response.
Yes, they do. Like I said, we do have some enhancements where we'll reduce the amount that a traditional financial institution will require. But keep in mind, we want to make sure that you are invested in your ideas and your business. So what they call that skin in the game. We want to know that you have some skin in the game. There are other resources out there for grants and angel investors that may be able to help, but you want to be mindful if you do receive monies from an angel investor or someone that's going to provide you with capital. You got to keep in mind you may have to pay that back, or you may lose some control in your business. They may want a percentage. So just be mindful when you're looking at that. I literally just got off a call prior to this one, talking to a group at VSU, and they were saying, well, it's kind of hard for BIPOC businesses to have access to capital to start the process. We recognize that, and that's why we've made the loan loss reserve a reality. But that doesn't preclude you for doing angel investing, looking at grants outside of the loan that you could take advantage of. So I'd say, and kudos to you guys today for coming to this lunch and learn. I've never been a business owner, and it's very courageous to go out there on your own. I get a check every 2 weeks, regardless, right? I have to perform, of course. But I commend you guys for taking that step. And I would say, just get all the necessary, take advantage of all the necessary tools, all the information that's out there. And it's a lot of information out there. The culture and the environment of helping BIPOC businesses it's money's to be had. So, really, really be very diligent in getting all the information you can to learn about how to manage a business before you jump out there. You guys are probably very creative and know your crafts and excited about what you do, but just take the time to invest in the business acumen.
The next question is, do you have any recommendations on places to start looking when looking for grants? And Chandra, if I can just say something before you answer that, I would like to ask attendees to, yes, there are places that, offer grants directly, but for the sake of social capital, because that's incredibly important as well, I would encourage you to connect yourselves and get familiar with organizations within the region that supports small business owners, particularly BIPOC businesses. And so when connected to those organizations, you then have the opportunity to be exposed to so many opportunities, to include grant opportunities, to include technical assistance opportunities, to include just other ways to raise capital. And so I will rattle off a few of those organizations that we work closely with within the ecosystem here in the region, to include the Office of Minority Business Development, of course, the Capital Region Small Business Development Center that Rodney is the head of. Shameless plug, the Jackson Ward Collective, where I'm one of the co-founders, but we work with Black businesses specifically, but we do also provide grants to our members. The Metropolitan Business League, they are a pillar in our community, have been doing the work of supporting BIPOC businesses for quite some time. LISC is also a great resource as well, LISC. And I will drop the website links for all of those organizations in the chat. So I encourage you to approach this thing holistically, so that you can have, not just capital access, but the opportunity to launch and grow your business successfully.
Yeah, and I would just echo, and I don't, I may have missed it. I think we had a bad connection happen just a bit. But I would just echo the same organizations that Melody just mentioned. In addition to that, I would say check with your respective economic development offices as well. They are resources with the EDAs, especially if you're in a opportunity zone or in a area where they are looking to create development. Some municipalities have a target area that they're growing the business. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. Yeah, I just think that the ones that Mel mentioned are ideal. And then, just go out on the internet and start searching these opportunities as well. But those primarily are the ones that I am most familiar with. And I also serve on the board of LISC as well. So, and they are doing some fantastic things. And I've been working with Floyd Miller with MBL for years in my prior role at Wells Fargo. So, and then there's Black Brand in the Hampton Roads areas. And again, we're in the entire state of Virginia. And I'm actually connecting with a group in Fredericksburg on Friday to really expand my sphere, because the worst thing that could happen is we don't get this money out on the street, right? So I'm working diligently to connect myself with other organizations that do the work. So if anyone on the call is affiliated with the organization that we didn't talk about, please put that, email me, and I will be more than happy to have these similar conversations and bring this information. Because the worst thing, like I said, is us to have money left over in this fund when it's all said and done. Not to say it's going away, but we definitely want to get money out there.
I'm going to also go ahead and mention great additions, Chandra. I would encourage you all just to kind of learn more about these capital resources, to save the date for our next Lunch and Learn, which will be April 27th at 12 p.m. And actually during that session, we are going to be talking about financing your small business, accessing capital resources, which also will include grants. And as Chandra mentioned, your local economic development office will actually have representatives from the City of Richmond's Office of Economic Development, Henrico County, and Chesterfield County. So they are going to be on board speaking directly to the resources, as Chandra mentioned, that they provide from their offices, which are often untapped, I have to say. It's just the resources are sitting there because these agencies, they don't have large marketing budgets. So it's difficult, outside of it living on their website, you don't see this robust marketing effort. But it is our responsibility, those of us that are doing the work, to make sure we're sharing that information. And it's a lot of it's a lot of resources there. You really should be connected. A lot of reimbursement, like Chandra said, if you're in opportunity zone. So if you're spending money on building out your space, oftentimes if your address falls within these opportunity zones, you can be reimbursed on many of those expenses, in addition to some other grant opportunities. So again, mark your calendars. We've added the link to register to join us for the next Lunch and Learn, Wednesday, April 27th at 12 p.m. And a representative from all the economic development offices, again, Henrico, City of Richmond, and Chesterfield, will be able to speak specifically to what they have to offer, but also answer questions that you have as it relates to your business.
And I want to just add an additional comment. When you are looking for these opportunities, trust and believe they're going to want to know your balance sheet, income statements. They're going to want this information. I've had multiple conversations with individuals, and once I send that packet out of documentation that I need, dead silence. So get in front of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start working towards preparing yourself to be able to present a package to a bank or a financial institution, or to get grants. They're going to want to know about your business, not just your business plan. They're going to want to know the financials of your business. So please make sure that you take advantage of SBDC and like businesses and other organizations that provide that type of technical assistance is going to be critical when you're out and trying to find information and access to money. There is inevitably going to come up in your conversation. So make sure that you take the steps to get this.
And again, if you're not buttoned up, do not be shy about it.
Yep.
Oftentimes business owners, you're good at a thing, you're good at maybe you're good at doing hair or whatever your skill set is, and you may not have had the business acumen, but you've gone ahead and you've taken a leap of faith, you started the business, and you need to backpedal just to kind of strengthen your foundation. It's fine. You have
Right.
resources here. But we would say don't prolong getting that assistance and missing out on these opportunities. There's
Exactly.
nothing to be, listen, we've seen everything. We've experienced things. There's nothing to be embarrassed about or shy about. We just want to make sure we help you get buttoned up so that
Right.
your foundation is strong enough to in turn take advantage of these resources, because we would hate to see them just sit there.
Right. And as Melanie said, it may not be a noun, right? But it may be, let's prepare you for later. And Melanie and I have worked together with businesses that we just couldn't get comfortable on a loan decision, but we have tapped into our resources outside of VCC to get them across the finish line. So we take this seriously, right? If I tell someone no, I'm gonna tell you why we couldn't do it and explain the why. So in turn, you can go fix whatever wasn't in place, right? Um, if there's a credit issue, okay, I have resources to people who help with building credit. So I try to put myself in the position of a borrower that's coming to me for help and saying, okay, well, you said no, but what's next? So I'm saying, let's go talk to someone at List. Let's go see if we can look at NBL. Let me talk to my guy that helps with credit repair to make sure that you get not just the no, but get resources to the eventual yes.
Thank you, Chandra. All right, so we'll ask again if you have any more questions. Chandra just does an excellent job, so you may not have any more questions. But if you do, don't be shy. We ask that you provide the questions in the chat. Um, and again, make sure you're taking note of all the links that we've included. Register for our next session. And I don't see any more questions. I want to say thank you so much again for your time. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Chandra, for sharing with our guests all the resources that are available. Again, we welcome you all to share. We welcome you all to share with your small business community, like your colleagues and your friends that are also in business, the save the date that's in the link as well for our next Lunch and Learn, where we will discuss financing your small business, accessing capital resources, and grants and more, which will take place next Wednesday, of next month, April 27th at 12 p.m. You can find the registration link in the chat. We have representatives from the Office of Economic Development from the City of Richmond, Chesterfield, and Henrico County. We look forward to having you join us. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.